Even with Boomy, that reveal of him being a six-pack, I was like, oh, this guy don't have a six-pack like that. I was like, this is a normal built man.
He's a normal man.
Hey, there's only one person of that age that has a six-pack, and it is Harrison Ford. And he wanted you to know when you watched the Crystal Skull 2 or whatever the movie was.
Bring Harrison Ford and
Crystal Skull 2.
Boomy needs to be Harrison.
Start the campaign now.
Start it now.
Welcome back to the break room. I'm Evan, and today we're talking about Netflix's adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Woo-hoo. Joining me today are Tom Michelson.
Whoa. Yo, how's it going, guys? Happy to be back.
Jessica Clemens.
Why not get a nickname? Why not get a nickname? I was waiting for it too. What's John's nickname?
And John Costa.
Wait, who had a nickname?
Tom had a middle name.
Oh,
that's your middle name.
Yeah, sorry,
oh my God, it's so long. That's a long ass middle name.
Thank you.
TT.
Put it back up.
TTM?
Yeah. It's Tarkong. So I'm from an island called Palau in Micronesia, and that's my mom's maiden name. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I'm talking. So that's kind of like my professional name. I know we're all here to talk about this. So thank you so much for coming, guys. But yeah, that's the history behind that. So yeah,
that's good to know.
Oh, very cool. All right, so today our Avatar review. We do movie reviews sometimes on the break room, and we're gonna do the review kind of like that. We'll move through it in the same way. We're just not gonna give it a number. I think it's a little hard with there's a bunch of episodes to grade the whole series, but we'll talk about the discussion, the movie or the show in the same way we would talk about the movie. But maybe at the end we'll rate it on a cabbage scale.
How stinky?
Wait, how
stinky
fresh cabbages or like
afterwards?
destroyed cabbages?
I think we can make it up as we go along. It's gonna be
do it on farts. Cabbage farts.
Fart cabbage?
Cabbage makes you farty.
Wait, isn't that Brussels sprouts? Oh, I guess cabbage too?
Cabbage makes me a little.
Oh, interesting.
Jessica, would you like to switch spots with Evan?
All right, so let's get into it. What did you guys think of the story and the writing of the show? Obviously, this is an adaptation of Nickelodeon's cartoon. Showrunner is Albert Kim. He has a lot of experience in sci-fi, action, fantasy, TV shows. We can talk about some of the changes, but overall, what do you guys think of how this show brought the first season of the Avatar show, or first and second season almost, to life in live action?
It's hard to you even mentioned staying strictly on the writing when the writing stuck pretty close to the animated series. Yeah. That was my one note that I told a lot of people, that I was like, oh, I wish they did find a little bit more of an original footing and expanded more on that. I really did like the touch of making the 41st troops being the troops that were actually going to be killed earlier.
I thought that was such an impactful moment. Yeah.
And I think there was more hills that you could have done with those moments like that could have been shared, but I think they were kind of a little too scared to get too away from the original material.
Sure.
So writing wise, I think you have to base it more on pacing and how was the pacing of the full thing, which I mean, hey, 20 episodes in 8 episodes.
Oh yeah. I mean, granted, you can do 2 eps in one if you're making them an hour, but still, they would need at least 10 if they were going to do it exactly.
Yeah. And then 8. You're also you're not trying to get a second season, but you want a second season.
So you want to set things up.
Yeah, and you're including a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, because that's something, I guess spoilers. I didn't say that earlier.
Shit.
But here we go, spoilers.
I don't think we said anything.
One of the things that's interesting is that the introduction of Azula much earlier.
Yeah.
So Zuko's sister in the cartoon show, she shows up at the end of season 1, and she shows up much earlier and has a little bit more of a storyline and how she gets to where I guess we'll see her at the start of season 2.
Right.
What do you guys think about that? John's laughing a little bit.
No, I'm only laughing. I'm only laughing because when that scene started, I was like, if this fucking guy is Jet, I'm gonna be so mad.
Oh, sure.
I thought that the guy, because she infiltrates the little ring of rebels, and obviously this takes place in different places. But I was like, oh, I wonder if this is Jet. And then obviously I think we meet Jet that episode later or something like that.
Going
the reveal of Jet, I was
Jet?
I did not know this was Jet at all.
Jet, excellent.
I saw that actor. I was like, this might be Jet.
He's so fucking Jet. We'll talk about the acting in a second,
Jet.
but Jet, I think, is my favorite casting decision.
I've heard that from a few people.
Because I don't love some of the. Anyways, we'll get into it. But when it comes to the writing, I thought they were really clever with the way that they truncated storylines or combined story elements or whatever, like specifically that Jet storyline.
Yeah.
I really love the Jet arc in the animated show. It's one of my favorite arcs, but like, yeah, I think you're kind of missing stuff with like the flood and the village, if I'm remembering everything correctly.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. You still got the essence of Jet and the essence of the Freedom Fighters, and you know, you like all those characters felt very familiar to me.
It felt like they. Sorry.
No. You go first.
It felt like they knew what characters to bring in that first season. They were like, oh, they want Jet, but how is Jet's storyline going to intersect with this? Like, they're not, because Jet's story is his own episode where he floods that village. So it's like that takes up a lot. So they had to like reduce that, unfortunately. You can see by tiers who was like, oh, here's the main people we're focusing on, and here were the people that were in like the second or third book that we're bringing in just to remind you that we know, we're aware they're coming.
And even other people like Suki, who was supposed to be a one-off character, like, you know, they leaned heavy into that because they're like, she's gonna be coming back, because if you watch the show, you know. So there was a lot of
supposed to be a one-off character.
Yeah, they were. That's why you don't have any backstory about like her family. She's just a warrior.
She's just there, and it was supposed to be done, and so it's interesting to see the pieces that they're putting in place, because they know that they're going to want to have a second season,
100,
and they're maybe even a third season. But at the same time, writing-wise, I think I agree with what everyone's saying. I love how they truncated stuff, because you have to when you're doing an adaptation. But at the same time, because they were focusing so much time on maybe setting up these pieces, we're missing other kind of like what I would call part of the skeleton of what it is. Maybe here, another place. Either way, still like the show.
That was my best friend was like really upset about the waterbending stuff. And like Aang not learning it yet. But
that's right. That's true.
And I was like, I get it, but I was also like, they're not trying to imitate the entire animated series. And also, this is still a live action, so what can we do in 8 episodes? And so I was like, there's gonna be parts that are shifted and muddled a little bit, like Aang flying, like that's insane, right? But
I was like, but maybe that's Korra, really.
But maybe for this live action, they're just showing how strong he is and his abilities. So they could have changed that completely. I think people are using the logic from the animated series a little too much for the live action. Where they're trying to also just convey that Aang literally is so strong. That's why we don't get into the Avatar state that much. Like in the show, he's constantly wrecking ships and blowing things up because he's just upset and in the Avatar state, so they lessen that, so we see actually how strong he is. Sorry, what were you saying?
I watched the first episode with my roommate, and I can't remember. At the same time, we were like, "Oh, so can everyone fly?"
When it first came down, I'm like,
I can't remember. There was like another character who could fly, and I was like, "Wait, what's happening?"
Was it the Fire Nation when they like also launched into the air?
When they cannonballed like into the sky, I was like,
Sozin said, "Okay, let's go."
That comment, you know.
Yeah. I mean, well, actually, speaking of the comment, one of the things that I read online, I think Albert Kim was saying that like they decided to remove that as like a ticking like time clock as like, hey, it's coming back soon. This is why you need to be the learn all the elements.
They didn't want to say in 2 years it'll be here.
Yeah.
Know what the filming was going to be like, right?
Exactly. Like the characters could age and stuff like that. So that helps. Like, there's no pressure at the moment for it's like, okay, we know he needs to learn all the elements, but actually right now it's more important. And I think a really interesting thing to see how this character comes into this new world that he like left behind, right? And to see the guilt, which is like what the show also the original show handles that as well, but I think it's much more at the forefront. Like a lot of the show feels more like gritty in that sense.
Oh, and heavy.
Two things to what you said. One, if they anime this shit and they extend it for 6 seasons, though, that's gonna piss me off. If you extend him not being like, if we don't get that final battle until like season 7, I'm just gonna turn off the show.
They'll only one for one of the episodes, though.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm like, please, like, just stick to 3. And what you were saying about, oh no, it wasn't about Sozin's comment. It was. What did you just say, Evan? What was the last part?
Was it about about how being more heavy and having guilt?
Oh yes, I do like that approach. You both are right. I do like that approach. I really love how they embody that he's actually an adolescent, how he's actually a kid, how when even people are talking to him, they're talking to him as kids. But I was like, they weren't as rough as they are in this show, and maybe they were trying to convey that. Kyoshi's straight up screaming at him. And I'm like, girl, you're 8 feet tall. But then also I was like, same with Boomy. Boomy's just eating him alive. The only 2 adults that don't is Gyatso and Iroh. And I was like, oh. But these 2 people are like the voice of reason to their own little kids. Like, so it makes sense. But I'm like, we are eating this boy alive in this series. We're yelling at him for something he couldn't Well, it could have kind of controlled.
You know what I was gonna say? I actually do hope we get maybe like a 4 season, not because I need them to stretch it out, but yeah, like to me they missed a lot of important development of Team Avatar. You know, them being friends, them working together, and even Katara learning bending a little bit more. It felt a little bit more natural because it was a lot longer in the animated show. So if we stretch out the exact story, don't add any filler or anything, but just let it breathe a little bit more, I think it would help.
Yeah, I think because season 3 of the animated show, my favorite season, but I do think that season could use some
more time.
Yeah.
Right. There's like that one downtime episode when Zuko finds them for the first time and they're at like that old air temple. Right. We shouldn't be talking about this stuff. This is spoilers. That's not really a spoiler. I apologize. I don't know. Where do we sit?
Oh my god! I hella spoiled everything.
I think we're spoiled. It's okay. Let's keep going.
This has existed for a while, and these are Avatar fans, so they know.
And also, we don't know what they're gonna change too. You know,
we don't know what they're gonna change.
They keep including a lot of stuff from the books. Some parts that matter and some parts that don't, but they do include a lot from the books.
Ozen's gonna kill that turtle. Well, I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts about this. Because for me, I think that the first season of the animated show is my least favorite.
Same.
Or the one where they're like finding their footing the most.
Yeah.
So when you're sort of asking like, oh, how do you feel about the writing? It's hard for me because I'm like, I don't know if the writing in the first season of the animated show is like great.
I watched the whole first season and I was fine, and it wasn't until the second season I was like, I'm a fan of the show. For me personally, you know, and so I totally agree. That's when it found its footing, and I think, maybe I understood the lore more. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I do think it's a common trend with these types of shows where there's shows that like are broadly appealing for kids, but like are trying to deal with like much heavier subject matter, like shows like Steven Universe or like Adventure Time, or even a lot of like anime that decide to change in like their second or third seasons, where it's like, let's get the kids in, right? Let's bring them in, let's be fun, let's have episodes that are just kind of goofing around, and you know, and then we get into, you know, political intrigue and hypnotism and brainwashing and all that, you know, blood bending, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, does anyone have like, I do agree that like the big change in, at least that bringing those 3 storylines together in that one in Omashu was really interesting. Did anyone have something where they're like, ooh, I didn't like that change, or something that sticks out and being like, okay, I know that this is all happening in season 1, but they moved this moment or moved that, you know?
No, you go first.
I was gonna say one thing that reminded me about something Jess said earlier is that, like, you know, I think they felt like they needed to check certain boxes when they were writing this and making this. One thing I was hoping for that we didn't get, and this could just be me personally, is the music was the exact same. Usually when you do an adaptation, you'll have like an orchestral new kind of a version to breathe new life into it. And every time I heard the cues, oh, I know this is great. It just felt like we were borrowing that identity from the animated show and not creating our own with this. And that was one thing I was like, oh, I wish we...
It's a hard balance trying to cater to original fans, but then also create your own thing. And this is one of those franchises that's terrifying to try to do that with. So I recognize the a million Easter eggs they did and why they did it. But I'm also like, I now as an adult, and this is just me, I'm like, oh, you could have stretched a little bit more. Even if it was that little, again, the 31st Troop. I love that shit.
Well, it's funny because in the animated show, right, the opening sequence, you see it every episode. It is front to top exposition. It's just like, here's the world and here's what's happening. And they don't do that in this show, right? We get the like small Avatar: The Last Airbender every episode. In the first episode, there was like a half version, and then someone like did the rest of it in dialogue later. That was the one change. I don't know what you're doing.
This means I agree in sign language.
That was the one change where I was like, oh, it's unfortunate that you took this like cool exposition moment that they figured out how to work and do visually, and it's like iconic. And then they just like turned it into dialogue, and I was like, okay, then maybe that's not working for me. But that's such a small nitpick.
I think I agree. I was like, I think that's the one thing I wish they would have honestly just made that the homage. Just do the original intro. Because it felt like this one was a little muddled. It was like so much to take in. And I don't know how, because I was like, the original one also felt like a lot to take in. But this one, I think because they included how the avatars are like all coincide inside each other in different levels, which wasn't really revealed to us till later in the show. I was like, oh, that was a part that wasn't originally in the intro that we don't really need to know.
So I have a theory about why they didn't do the intro on this. It's because didn't they do it in the M. Night Shyamalan movie? Like shot for shot.
I have
The
not seen that
exact
movie.
same.
They said, don't touch it.
It's exactly like a live action version of the intro. And I think that's why they purposefully didn't do that. I
agree.
think.
Yeah, I mean, it's also one of those things where, like, with that first season, right, the journey between both water villages is so long for them.
Yeah.
And whereas this moves so much quicker, it's like, okay, every 2 episodes we're in basically the same place, we're in the same thing. So it at least gets new viewers on a week-to-week show, like, okay, let's bring us back in. What is this about? What is this thing? Whereas, like, for a binge drop, it's like, you're sitting there, you're like, okay, I mean, I like it, but, like, do I love it?
That's true. I just wanted it that once at the beginning. I thought the Grand doing it was corny as hell. But I was also like, this is kind of camp corny.
It's always when someone's like staring into space.
Yeah.
I was like Leo in that meme.
I was like, but that's what I was like. This is actually like, I was like, it's corny, but it kind of like, it's fun. It like, I liked watching this old lady literally recite it like it was like the deepest poem she's ever said.
And I was like, dude, they gave her the lines. It was like so cool for that actress.
I was like, and also Grand felt like a bigger character. Well, maybe she'll come bigger in the next season. The other masters of other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyone have anything else on this note before we get into some of the other stuff?
Because we have a lot more to go.
We do have a lot more. And before we do that, we want to thank today's sponsor, Kalshi. Kalshi is the first legal financial exchange in the US where you can bet on any event, including who's going to win what Oscars. That's wild. So, for instance, Emma Stone winning Best Actress is trading at 50 cents as of when I was given this. If you buy a share for 50 cents and she wins, you'll earn $1. If the share price goes up to 80 cents or something before the Oscars and you sell, you'll get 80 cents. It's kind of like fantasy football, only for the entertainment industry, and it's super fun. You can make some money doing it. Kalshi is the only place you can bet on the Oscars in all 50 states, but it's got a ton of different markets, including Rotten Tomatoes scores, plus markets on politics, music, climate, economics, tech, games, and more. You can sign up by going to Kalshi.com/breakroom and the first 500 traders will get a free $20 credit. So sign up at Kalshi.com/breakroom. All right, so this is a hot button topic about the show. The acting. So our main cast, we have Gordon Cormier as Aang, Yawen Dio as Katara, Ian Owsley as Sokka, Dallas Liu as Zuko, and Paul Sun-Hyung Lee as Uncle Iroh. What do you guys think? What do you guys think overall? We can talk about the main cast. We can talk about other characters. How'd you all feel?
You want to take this, Jess?
No, I'm not gonna go crazy.
You get it. No.
I think these are kid actors, and if you're someone watching and you're like, I just hate kid actors, okay, go ahead. But this is a kid show with kid actors.
Yeah.
The cast of even the animated series were literal teens. Teens as in like 13 to like 14-year-old. Aang was 12 years old. So these are gonna be kids. The voice actors were 30-year-old white people. So you can't get mad at these children for being like, oh, being children actors.
The disrespect to Dante Basco.
No, I meant, well, not Dante Basco.
I saw him last night, actually. I did, yeah.
Where?
At a movie screening.
So
yeah, him and all his brothers and his sister. Yeah.
No way. That's awesome.
I also think when you're like, oh, the acting is in here, a lot of these things are also direction, and they're handed by the directors. Yeah. So these kids could have done like one take or a million takes, but it's still like, what we're seeing in the final product isn't just solely on them. It's also on what we wanted directionally.
And you know what we talked about earlier off camera was like what I use the example of Stranger Things. That's one of the reasons why that show was so big, is because those kids were so amazing. Like, then that's rare. You're not going to get that every time. And if you think about all the most amazing child actors, you know, there's not a lot. So the fact that they got these kids who did pretty great for their first thing ever, most likely for most of them.
They have a background in
Zuko,
even then, like Zuko, Dallas Liu in Pen 15 is just playing like an irritated brother in one in every 3 episodes. So he doesn't really get that much lines anyways. But he did do great, and his stunts were amazing because he's also been doing this for like 12 years of his life.
Yeah. I do think too, like, you know, you take something like Harry Potter and like Percy Jackson.
Which also they did bad when they were children. I'm sorry. The first Harry Potter, every time I go back and watch it, I'm like, yeah, these are kids.
But you're also finding kids that work well together.
Yes.
And I do think that this is something that's sold a little bit stronger. And this is probably the first of many references I'll compare to Percy Jackson. Whereas I like all the kids, and I'm not sure that the show gave their chemistry time to shine. Whereas this show did, you know, as much as I do want more like Team Avatar coming together, I did think that they had elements and time where they could like interact and really like we could see the chemistry between the kids.
I think Ian Owsley was like the glue in that. That
Oh,
played
100%.
Sokka.
Yeah.
That played
Sounded
Sokka.
like Sokka. He looked
Oh my
like
God.
The
Sokka.
jokes
Oh my
that he was
gosh.
delivering, I watched his behind the scenes like interviews, and I was like, no, this is just like a little kid that wants to do improv and comedy, and he did that very well on the show.
Yeah.
But I think that bond was like what we needed between those two, and I think it's solely in Ian Owsley, not just Sokka. It was Ian Owsley.
All those
that did
actors,
the
I
show.
feel like immediately embodied the role. The minute they walked on camera, like, yeah, that's Aang right there.
The
You know
only,
what I mean?
the,
It's
only
Katara, yeah.
the adults did great
Yeah, the
because the
adults did
adult
great,
actors have been in the entertainment industry forever. You just
They're all
rarely watch
veterans.
them.
Yeah, every one of them's like a famous actor. Yeah.
I guess the only acting that I was like, was, and I loved Paul as Uncle Iroh. But when I rewatched the first season, I was like, I think Paul watched the first season and tried doing like a lot of, even the screaming at certain lines, because there's a lot of lines in this show that are the same from the animated series. And he did it like in the exact same way. And it didn't give it off because Paul is such a sweet, nice actor that when the Dragon of the West goes off, it doesn't really translate with Paul.
Yeah.
And so I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I rewatched
on
that
here?
scene at the end where he kind of like confronts Zhao with the spirit.
Tenfold.
Yeah, and I rewatched it in the animated and I was like, oh wow, this is way different than what's
it's
happening. It feels like it's coming from a different place.
But I do
Yeah.
love him as Uncle Iroh. He was very sweet. And I want to hug him and love him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
John?
Oh.
Oh, me? My turn?
He's like, I hate these kids.
I don't like the kid.
Scooby-Doo.
I know.
I love me some Carson Teva. I really do. I felt like a lot of the people who were cast in these roles were not great fits. And it's interesting to hear you guys say differently. And I'll explain why I feel that way. First of all, I think Iroh, dude's got to be older. He's not giving me that like I'm very old, I've seen everything, I'm incredibly wise vibe. And I think like at one point I was like, maybe if you just slowed the delivery of your dialogue down by like 15%, it would work for me. I'm not sure. That wasn't totally working for me. I texted you something that I'm not going to repeat out loud about. I'll tell you guys after the show about the actor who's playing Zuko.
Zuko.
I think that like, Zuko and Azula are two very different people. Zuko is like calm and calculated and specific and like mad. And I don't know if we got a ton of like calm and calculated Zuko in this show. I think he's a little, there's a couple of moments.
Angry Ellie.
I think he's an actual 14-year-old. I think there's a few moments in this where he's like trying to like please his father, which is totally there in the animated series, but like more so like I'm doing this because dad told me to rather than like we're aligned in our goals. I thought that like Azula's portrayal was not unhinged enough. I like and so like I'm thinking about this stuff before coming on and talking about it, and I'm thinking to myself like, was that just the difference between an animated show and a live action show? Sure. Is Azula as fucking crazy as she is in animation because like you can't be as expressive with faces in animation and like all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if that's part of the reason why I'm like, oh, I'm not connecting with these characters the same as I thought that I would.
I think it's also that we're looking at the POV of Azula training, which we didn't get in the actual show. Right. So we only saw her unhinged because we saw her way down the line. Sure. We only saw her in Visions.
Like
so this is the origin of her going unhinged. It starts, and you can see the little twinkle in her eye. But I do remember that the producers were like, we want them to play as actual kids this time. Because also, when I was watching the third season, I was like, oh yeah, Zuko is very calm and collected a lot of times. He's also an idiot. And that's why Azula was the brains. Azula was the smart one. Right. He was the dumb kid. And so I was like, oh yeah, we still kind of get that with him doing everything for his dad in dumb ways. I'm like, girl, there was one part in my breakdown I was like, you need to sit down for a minute. And really think this through. You're acting like a child, I guess, jumping in without thinking. And I was like, I think they really wanted to lean more about them being 14 and remind us that they're kids.
I also think too, like just to speak on the Zuko point really quick, John, I feel like also we got, we think of Zuko as in totality of his arc, like after leaving the show, right?
And everyone has said like, this is the best arc of any character ever, right? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So season 1 Zuko, it does feel like maybe they've leaned more into these kind of like impulsive, like parent-pleasing aspects of the character, but it does feel like it's like, oh, we need to see, who knows what will happen. You know,
and we need to connect the dot from episode 1, season 1 to the finale of season 3. So
I will say I did kind of miss the beat at the end. I mostly just rewatched the finale of the animated one. I did miss the beat at the end when they're leaving the Water Nation or the Water Tribe, and Zuko's just. Uncle Iroh was like, "What do you want to do next?" And he's just like, "I'm tired."
Which is in the live action. Yeah. It's such a sweet scene of him being like, and he's like, "A man needs rest."
Yeah. Yeah, just done differently. I wish it would have come more from Zuko as opposed to Iroh in that moment. But I was like, oh, yeah.
And I think that might be why I really like the Jet casting. I think
he's
the oldest of all of the kids that they cast.
Right.
I think if they cast more people of that age.
Wasn't Suki kind of?
Yeah, sure. I thought she was great too, to be honest with you.
And Yue is old too.
Yue's old too. I forget.
Thunder,
maybe that's why that worked a little bit more for me. Because when I think about the anime show, I don't know if I think of them as kids. Probably because I watched it when I was a kid and I thought of them as contemporaries. And, this is what I would be doing, right? And so maybe there's.
It's also that anime flavor though of they look like adults on the show. Totally. When I was a child, I was I don't look like that.
Because I was sitting there, I don't remember which episode I was watching, and I was like, wow, there's no sexual tension between Aang and Katara, and I was like, well, I guess that makes a lot of sense, but also that was a core element of their relationship. It was Aang was in love with this woman, and
you're right.
But then the sexual fucking tension between Sokka and Suki. I went, turn this down. These are kids. I said, I'm watching this, and these are children.
Oh my god!
I said they should not be rolling on top of each other.
And then they talked about Sokka hooking up with some other girl, some Fire Nation girl, and then he's with you.
They also made it seem like they took out a lot of the Sokka thing, but they didn't. I was like, no, Sokka's still horny, just not stupid horny.
That whole thing in the press was so overblown.
Yeah, and 100%.
Frustrating.
I was like,
people
no,
who
still there.
weren't familiar, like me, what was the controversy here?
It was just a quote came out from someone during the interviews being just like, oh, we made Sokka not as sexist. And people were like,
how dare you change that character aspect?
I'm not trying
to. People are overreacting perfectly.
Yeah.
I also am not trying to be an asshole. Though immediately they were like, "That's his arc," and I was like, "His arc should not be that he's sexist."
No, that was done by
that's not by
that Suki episode. It was done. Yeah. That whole it was. So if you want to call it an arc, it was barely by episode 5. It wasn't even in it.
Literally.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
Your thing about Iroh being older, that hit me too. I was like, oh yeah, because it might also be because Paulson is a famous actor that I'm used to seeing him in a lot of things.
Yeah.
That I'm like, no, Uncle Iroh needs to be old as hell. He's also not to be old as hell, but he's the older brother and they look kind of like they're the same age.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, and again, it's coming back to the animated show. And it's a thing that I wish I didn't do, and everyone does this with media, so it's
no, we're all
hard to avoid, but I'm thinking about the scene, and I think the 3rd season with Iroh's in jail, and he's getting,
I was thinking that too. I was like, is Paul gonna have time to get ripped?
Pretending that he's this old, senile man, and I'm like, I don't know if that scene works with this younger actor.
They didn't really go I think they might change that a little bit because even with Boomy, that reveal of him being a 6-pack, I was like, oh, this guy don't have a 6-pack like that. I was like, this is a normal built man.
He's a normal man.
Hey, there's only one person of that age that is a 6-pack, and it is Harrison Ford. And he wanted you to know when you watched the fucking Crystal Skull 2 or whatever the movie was.
Bring Harrison Ford and
Crystal Skull 2.
Boomy needs to be Harrison.
Start the campaign now.
Start it now. Hashtag Harrison.
Also, you said it and I want to echo it. Yes. I did not know. When I was doing it, I was like, the breakdown, I was like, oh yeah, Yui, here's the actors. I went, that's the girl from Prey. I was like, that's Amber Midthunder. And I was like, that's so insane for that actress to be in here and be Yui. Literally the person that turns into the moon. I'm like, you are literally, the first season, you messed all of us up. You literally dipped out. You said, I love you, goodbye. And I was like, God, you got that part. You're Amber Midthunder. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go look at all the actors. They're amazing.
But yeah, just to speak about Azula really quick, I do think that people are like, oh, why is this actress cast and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you have to remember that they are kids. She's younger than Zuko. Yeah. They have to find some, it was never gonna be an Azula that we see in the show.
Our Azula was literally a 30-year-old woman. Not even the actress. I'm like, Azula was like a 30-year-old mean woman, and I loved her. That's why we loved her. Yeah. Also, our Azula is literally the embodiment of what a 14-year-old is today. Yeah. We saw it in the Barbie movie. We see it as a joke. Mean girl. She's just mean as hell. She's gonna say such mean shit with that tone, and I'm not gonna be ready for it. It's gonna like trigger something in me.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Azula is, I think, one of the actresses from the original series who was played by an adult. Most of the kids were played by kids.
Except Dante. I guess Dante Bosco would have been what, like late
20s?
Late 20s?
Early 30s?
Oh, was he really that old?
Maybe.
I think some of them were like 20s. But she was like, I did the math, and I was like, oh no, she was like almost mid.
And I feel bad for not being able to remember her name.
Ray Delisle, like voice acting, royal.
Like totally.
Yeah.
No, the last thing I was gonna say about the kid actor part of it is I think one of the things that this show, the adaptation, missed is like we actually have kids acting in this show. We missed chances to see them being kids, and that was one of the things in the animated show. We saw like moments of them playing or making a lot of mistakes, and in this they already seemed like hardened kind of war heroes. And I was like, you guys actually have 12-year-olds and 14-year-olds playing these characters. Like, give us a little bit of levity to balance out the heaviness of the otherwise the fog of war that they're in. And that was the one thing I was like, I wish we did that a little more, and that maybe would have helped the kid actor seem
well. I
more
mean, maybe
grounded
it kind of came across as opposite of that because. Like Katara and Sokka immediately had to be adults.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was like they are war torn for sure. But I mean, that doesn't give Aang not the right to be more of a child.
Right.
Because Aang is literally a 12.
He's 100.
Yeah,
he's 100. He's 100.
I think the actor was even like, "Oh, I really wanted to go penguin sledding."
Sure.
I think those moments would have gone a long way to bonding them as a team and showing that they're kids, so that when we get to the real, shit hitting the fan, the stakes are higher because oh yeah, these are kids. Like they don't know what they're doing per se.
But I think to your point about the penguin sledding, kids are serious kids.
They are
fucking serious.
I get
kids.
it.
These are
I get it.
kids.
Were you about to say something?
No, the only thing I was gonna say to Katara, it was like because when I rewatched the series, Katara does bring a lot in the animated series. Do not get my words twisted on this. Her training is probably the biggest part of her storyline. Those are massive things that they should have put into the series, other than her reading the waterbending scroll herself and learning. But it was also like, again, the animated series really just highlighted like the sexism to her in the world, which is like in this one, I think we just would be watching this girl get battered 24/7, which I'm like, I want to see her hide, and I wanted to see that. Yeah. And it was also the weird chemistry between her and every other man on the show that wasn't her brother. So I was like, I don't, because I was like, we all like we started shipping Zuko, and then we have episodes with her and Zuko fake dating, being stuck, learning to love each other, and then we have her with Jet, and then we have her with Aang, and I was like, okay, we get it. Like this, I think this is probably why I leaned to Azula a lot, because I was like, this is just as independent, this woman by herself just being mean.
It's not about her being in a relationship, right, yeah.
But go on, sorry, we have a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot more to talk about. Any final notes on the acting, the casting?
Do you guys think that we should move on? This is not an important question. Do you think they cast for like their martial arts ability before their acting ability? Because when I saw them do their fucking stunts, I was like, oh shit, okay, let's go. And I wonder if that's kind of where people are bumping. It's just because like that was what they focused on.
What was interesting is Ian Owsley, who plays Sokka. I read that he was like a black belt champion, and I was like, oh wow, I don't remember him doing any nuts martial arts, but I feel bad. I mean,
so is Dallas Liu, but I also think they made them go to a boot camp to train. So they trained before shooting very hard in each other's martial arts.
So I think they were, or they must have been, or at least had, they were prone to it, or like athletes.
Yeah.
They're athletes.
They're all athletes.
I know that Gordon is a skateboarder, so maybe.
He's like flying around on the skate park now. Yeah. Hey, before we continue, we wanted to thank our sponsors like Blue Chew. BlueChew.com is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost that you can take at any time to get that extra confidence in bed. Signing up is super easy to do and all done online. You can go to BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days, shipped directly to your door in a discreet package. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it, and we've got a special deal for our audience. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code BREAKROOM at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code BREAKROOM to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And thanks, Blue Chew, for sponsoring the show. And also, something that's chewy, jelly beans.
I didn't know where we were going. Didn't know where we were going with that.
Pass the Jelly Bean Planet. Hey, you guys have heard us talk about these before. Jelly Bean Planet, so many different containers. Keep an eye out for some Easter specials soon. But hey, in the meantime, get some at the link below. They're really good. Lots of people have gotten and told us how much they love it.
All the white
We
ones
love
are
them.
missing because I ate them.
That's true.
I'm gonna eat a white one.
True.
No, these
They're
go
my favorite.
really
They're
fast.
the coconut ones, and I eat the hell out of them. I literally siphon through. I'll pour it all out, and then I'll
my
just get the
God.
white. That's why it's missing all the white ones.
Just pours them on the table and then like separates
like a
them,
rock.
puts them back in.
While we eat some jelly beans, I just want to shout out some people who've been giving out some subs and bits in the chat. Woke Morty, Christian Unpronounceable, Christian Unpronounceable with 3 gift subs. Sarah Hatchadorian, Roland99. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everyone for saying welcome back, Evan. I forgot to say that earlier because I got nervous.
Is H Basso in the chat today?
I don't think so.
I owe them an apology.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Let's talk about the visuals of this show. There's a lot to hear, from the CGI to the costumes to the makeup, hairstyling. That was a Diet Mitch if I've ever seen one. What'd you guys think?
I didn't have. I talked about this also in my breakdown. I didn't have an issue with the clothes because I see what they're doing, even if it's clean or whatever. I was like, yeah, they're imitating the exact style of what they are. After going into a deeper dive, I realized they hired a lot of POC people to influence what their outfits were for their certain regions. Okay. So like Katara's people, they hired a woman that literally grew up in the Arctic and was like, oh, here's the designs that I chose from the village that I'm from.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
awesome.
oh, okay, these are beautiful little additions. I will. The one thing that I do agree with, which I'm like, whatever, is nitpicky, because I just like wigs. Yui's wig was pretty insane. It did not move at all. It was just like a cosplay wig that's not cosplay, just shoved on top of her head. And she went, hello, and I went, take that off. Take that off. Pop that bad boy off. Visually though, Netflix has their look. We know what they're talking about. It's a look. Even this was like the same kind of visual effects that The Witcher had, and I was like, do they still use? I was like, I don't know if they use the same, but you know, they have that like camera. Netflix has like a list of cameras that they use, and these are all the cameras they use, and they spend more money on actual actors than they do on like the creative part or the filming part. Yeah. So they're just like, oh, that's why a lot of Netflix stuff looks flat and the same. And the visual effects that they chose to do for this, I was like, this is giving every visual effects that Netflix has done, if that makes sense. Interesting. So I wasn't like, it was goofy as hell. It was cartoony as hell. But then I was also like, I think I just saw this in One Piece. And then I was like, and I also just saw this in The Witcher. And so I was like, oh, I guess I can give them this due because it's just Netflix being Netflix.
Sure.
Yeah, I think if they had time, because there was definitely like some of the fights where I was like, this is looking dope, but they're cutting so much and it's moving and it does feel flat.
The choreography was also like weird. And they said this. They said that the water bending was really hard to do with Katara to do VFX for. And there's a part where she's fighting Paku that you see like the flip in the air is just like.
And then the ice slide looked very blue screen.
I was like, what's going on here? I said, what's going on here?
Well, it's interesting you talked about the cutting with the fight scenes, Tom, because I know a lot of this show, they were trying to utilize like the LED volume, like the Mandalorian is used, and Percy Jackson is used. And my friend, who's the director, we were talking about Percy Jackson specifically because we were both fans of it. And they were like, well, something's going on with the camera work here. Like, it's either like really focused on the kids trying to say their thing or like getting the kids' performance across because we're cutting around a lot. There's not a lot of interesting camera moves going on. And a lot of that has to do with like how much can you see on the volume.
Right.
Like watching the behind the
that's a good
scenes of Percy Jackson, I was like, oh wow. In one of the last fights of the movie, they have to keep cutting around between the characters because they can't physically really like actually see more of the volume to like turn or something or to do a longer take. And I think a lot of that same stuff can be felt here in Avatar, but definitely not to the same degree, in my opinion, as that other show. One of the directors, Jet Wilkinson, she directed the finale of Percy Jackson as well as the finale of Avatar. And I feel like maybe she learned some lessons about how to work the volume a little bit better. But it does become tricky in general when you're working with such VFX heavy stuff and you're moving around.
I think it was something I only noticed subconsciously now that you mentioned it. Because and speak to the flatness, if you're shooting against the volume, for better or worse, that is a flat screen. You know, you're not getting any true depth there that the cameras could pick up. So
I mean, it can,
but then again, I guess it's in camera.
It can track
3D,
like the environment moving around, but like it's still gonna be, you know,
flat screen.
Yeah, it's a flat screen, and then you have to calculate the depth in there, and then it gets all tricky.
There was so much money in this show.
Oh man.
Yeah.
There was so much money, and
So
maybe
much.
once it got to post, you're kind of like, shit. We spent it all here because look at that cast. I mean, yeah, you don't really know the kids, but we all know the adult actors that are in that show.
yeah, we didn't even
and
say
then all
Daniel
the
Day
costumes.
Kim, right?
Daniel Day
Yeah,
Kim.
those are-
Day Kim's budget is so high. I was thinking about that. I was like, I bet that's so high. And also the sets that they made for even like the bazaar and Amashu, everything.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, dude, this is probably very expensive. And then they kind of
And then they built like the whole like northern, the air nomad temples. Like I just like the sets
Yeah.
and whether it's digital or real. I was like, damn man, there's a
It
lot
did
of
feel
money.
like they leaned on more physical aspects being present on the volume or on a green screen.
Right.
Just from like a layperson's point of, or maybe more than a layperson, but just like from my eye, I was like, you know what? There's a lot. It feels like there's more stuff here that's physical than
Yeah.
they'll extend more of the background.
which is probably why they didn't have Momo or Appa on like a
Yeah.
third of it.
Yeah, because they're like, we got to pull our punch. Whenever they
Dude.
show up, that all the budgets go into that
right
fur.
there.
And it was
you
really,
know?
you can kind of see, I read this too, they were like, it was kind of hard working with Momo because it was just like a hand.
Yeah.
And you have to interact with a hand. And even when Ian Owsley is like at the finale cradling it, it's like, this is a hand. He's holding like
Someone's
a
hands
man's
just,
like,
inside. Yeah.
Momo. Don't do that.
I didn't think Momo looked great most
Yeah.
of the time.
I thought it was cute though.
I thought
Yeah.
that I thought everything looked great, and with a big asterisk on it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the bending looked really good. Especially
fast
coming
and-
from the fucking other live action movie, which bending looked so bad, it doesn't make any fucking sense. I think that all of the problems that I had with the look of the show were Netflix house style problems.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
like
Yeah.
this weird, glossy, high key lighting.
Yeah.
The costumes are dirty. It's like these weird, all this like
very
Netflix
clean,
house.
yeah.
It's like so frustrating too because like Stranger Things doesn't have that problem.
Yes.
House of Cards when it came out very much didn't have that problem.
So I think they
don't
have
watch
like
a ton of Netflix
production
originals,
a
but
production crew that follows, right? The
it-
same
it
has to
production
be
team.
the-
I mean,
No.
It has to be the team, and it has to be the people that are like, because I bet the brothers that worked for Stranger Things were like, no,
Duffer Brothers.
no,
Yeah, they have
and
their
they're
own
like, look
people.
at this, because I was like, they were kind of working in Netflix's zone.
My guess is that Netflix is looking at Marvel as like a little bit of a guide to say like Marvel has their style. They make these movies exec first, and like that's how we want to be making our movies.
Yeah.
My expectation is not that they have teams moving from project to project because even though you have a director working on Percy Jackson and on Avatar: The Last Airbender, you can't have the same team working on
Yes.
both the
Yeah.
shows that just came out within
Yeah.
a few months of each other. Not to say crews definitely do move from job to job, but I do think that Netflix just has like, hey, there's like a person at Netflix or a group of people at Netflix who are like, this is how we want this to look, and we want it to look like all of our other stuff.
That's crazy. You're right, and I'm more mad that I'm just like, Netflix, change it.
Yeah.
Should.
Netflix
It's
change-
like the
also-
biggest complaint that anyone.
Yeah, and you can tell because the director, a director that comes in to direct an episode, that doesn't feel, it doesn't even feel different. They're all, it's very homogenous.
It's a style, and also, not to be this person again, they don't know how to light POCs because you can tell those characters outside of that. Go look at those actors. Go watch them in interviews. They are a lot darker than what they look like on that screen. It's like 2007 Twilight. They didn't know really how to light these things. So I was like, you see it with a lot of POC Netflix led things. I'm like, oh, why? This doesn't give color to these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess just in a point towards the visuals, though, I do think the one thing that they did well, despite the Netflix house style, is that like it is consistent, right?
Yeah.
You don't have stuff that's jumping out like one place is like vastly better than the other thing. Where it's like, okay, it's consistently going to feel and look like this is like the parts of this Avatar world.
100%.
And I think that's like what they did do pretty well. But I do agree with like what you guys are saying for sure. Yeah. And the Netflix like
an odd decision.
I know. And I'm almost glad that like Netflix is, they're slowly now they've like kind of staked out their like claim but I was like, man, if everything starts looking like Netflix because of like approved cameras or whatever, it's like
Now I'm wondering if that's one of the reasons why the DiMartino, the original creators left. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they wanted to have more of more of their
approved cameras
flavor.
thing. Whatever. The creator just shot an FX3. Like
Sure,
that's a
yeah.
$3,000 camera. That movie was nominated for an Oscar for its visuals, and that
mean it
is
deserved it.
that is that is one of the cameras on the approved fucking Netflix camera list. You have movies. I don't know why I'm thinking about Moonlight right now, but
Moonlight was shot amazingly.
it was shot beautifully on. I think. I mean, it's
But
been
I
a
also
few years,
think
but
they
it's
didn't-
but it's another like Alexa Mini or whatever, which is on these lists.
Right.
So,
But those were because also the lighting.
Right.
Like
That's what my
Moonlight
argument
did that
is.
straight
Yeah.
up thing.
That's
They
what my
pulled that
argument
shit out. in
But
Moonlight.
also remember, like those are movies, right? Like
That's-
whereas a lot of the stuff we're talking about, the Netflix look is more with. I guess it's like their
Series.
Netflix.
no, you're right. And
movies,
I don't know why the
series, yeah.
fuck I pulled. Quite frankly, it was because Jessica was talking about lighting PSC people.
And they did.
And God, that movie's beautiful. And I was like, oh yeah. It's fun.
Don't even
So
remind
a
me.
bad comparison on my part. But yeah, I think that like it's just Netflix wants it to be that way.
They
have
do.
to.
They want it. They love that style for themselves. And I
Because
mean, it does appeal. It does appeal to some people because we're in production. We're looking at these things 24/7. So we're like, well, this irritates us. But people that are like just watching like the damsel with freaking Billy Bob Brown are like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't even pick it up, and if anything, it's subconscious. Like, well, maybe they understand that it feels the same, but they don't know why, or they're
Yeah,
not paying attention
exactly.
to it.
Well, it's similar to like my problem with. Okay, here's a better comparison. Movie like In the Heights, which again is a movie, but that I felt personally like that has a similar problem of like super glossy,
Yeah.
really high pop. It's a musical. It's a big summer movie, but like you're also doing like Puerto Rican people living in Washington Heights, and it's like the whole point of the movie is that like it's not the most ideal living situation. It's like, well, then everything is so colorful and bright.
Yeah.
It's like hard to do those two things together because they are opposed, but you like want this musical to be bright and beautiful.
Yeah, it's just tricky, right? Yeah, and then also like a lot of movies take shortcuts with like softer lighting, broader lighting, you know, and that's easier to like, oh well, we'll move it and we'll change it in post because everything's well lit and we
This
got it.
camera works well with that camera, which
Yeah.
works
Yeah.
well with this camera because we lit the set to look good on all cameras. The set originally did not look great.
Lighting.
You remember?
Lighting is now taking the way of everything, and that's what the A24 look is. That's what we love about these things.
Welcome to Cinematography Talk, everybody.
Anytime you guys want to talk about lights,
So happy to
lights
have
and
you here.
storytelling and lights,
Yep.
ooh, I got you. And in sound.
Cole Richardson.
We got you.
All right, so
Richardson.
we're starting to run a little low on time, so I'm gonna collect some questions from the chat, but feel free if anyone has anything that you guys want to say that we haven't addressed yet. Feel free to talk on it or anything you like.
what do you think was the
I do
sexiest
want a
part?
season
That's
two.
like, yeah. What was the best part that for you?
Jet putting a fucking straw in his mouth and then walking away. I was a little bit like, all right,
Yeah.
It was.
I want to say I missed the iconic shot of Jet holding Katara as these like.
Yes.
yeah.
I said, give me that scene. When I said that's gonna be me one day. No, it was Ozai, dude, taking off that damn shirt. Woo! I'm sorry.
No,
He's the Fire Lord before on and off camera. I was.
Daniel
I
Day
thought
a good
Kim.
choice.
The
When he
cabin-
talks,
It
it says
is
stop.
Is one of those things. I think this has happened recently too, where it's like, oh, Mark Hamill played that character so well,
Yeah.
and you're a little bit like, oh, okay, well, I love Daniel Day Kim, but that character is that character. Woo! Talk about coming in and fucking nailing it,
Yeah.
making it your own,
He
just
straight up
like
did.
fucking power.
It's that I don't know. It was like he came in when he was even talking to Azula. He's like, nah.
Yeah.
I was looking. I was like, is it the goatee? Like that long?
I think it's just that he looks
everything?
mean.
Yeah.
He looks mean,
Yeah.
beautiful every time, but he also can easily be nice and
Yeah.
sweet. I don't know.
I the low hanging fruit, but the cabbages guy part. I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be like an Avengers Assemble MCU moment where we weren't gonna get it for a while. But he was like, "Oh my god!" And I was like, "Oh, here we go." And I thought it might come later in the season. And when he finally did it, I was like, "Oh, okay, here we
and
go."
he got
here we
like
go.
3 good like
got him
these
in
are
He
my
did.
cabbages.
He did. I thought it was gonna be that one off, but I'm glad he
Same
got
here.
to come
I thought
back
it was
and-
just like a quick.
Yeah, I thought
Were you
was gonna
saying
come
it was
back.
like the guy from the show?
Yeah, that was
it
the
is.
voice
Yeah,
actor.
That's so
That's
funny.
him.
He's
yeah.
great. He's so sweet too. I watched a lot of his interviews, and he's just so happy.
So cool.
Oh, that's
so
great.
Cool. So happy for him.
All right, so CManZ97 asks, have any of you played any old Avatar games, especially on the GameCube? I love that game.
I played Pie Show from Nickelodeon.
I think it was either Game Boy Advance or the DS game of just season 1, and they made like Haru a playable character, a character that got cut out of the show. But it's like, we need an Earthbender, so I guess it's Haru.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And I was like, I think you're really overestimating how important this character is going to be to the rest of the series.
I haven't played any of those, but man, that's a real missed opportunity. Can you imagine like a dope like bending game where?
I think they did come out with like a couple.
No, they've had several, but the ones I've seen, like I when I watch trailers and gameplay, I'm like, oh, it's like
Just like put
nuts.
some of these Avatar characters in like a
Missing.
Mortal Kombat or something.
Was it? Did Nickelodeon basically do a Super
They're
Smash Bros?
children, John. They're children.
Oh yeah, I think Aang is in like the Nickelodeon
Okay.
Smash
Yeah,
type
Nickelodeon did
game.
like a
Yeah.
Smash
Oh, is he? Oh,
I wasn't
think
allowed
so.
to play video games when I was a kid.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
For Lent?
Oh, for Lent. You gave it up for Lent.
You gave up
I gave up.
completely.
Yeah.
Damn, you do everything for the Lord, man.
Yeah.
Hannah Flamingo says there's an Avatar ride at an amusement park by my house growing up. I think you were riding on Appa. It was so cool.
That is dope.
That's interesting.
Wow, that's so cool. I'd want to do that.
Sarah Hatchadorian asks, as a standalone show, not compared to the original, do you think you would have liked the series?
No.
Yes.
I think so. And my friends who don't know anything about Avatar, who watched this was their first experience watching it, loved it.
Oh, awesome.
So
Wow.
I was surprised. But yeah, I mean, so I think it's better than the Shyamalan thing. We all can agree about that.
Yeah.
So I think if you don't have any baggage, maybe it's more enjoyable.
I think I would have. I think, and I'm a person that just likes choreography too in movies.
Yeah.
And I was like the genocide of the air nomad scene was enough to get me to keep watching.
Why did you make me start laughing right before you said genocide?
Because you think it's funny, and I keep telling you that it's not fucking funny. I keep telling you all the time.
When you said I like choreography in movies, I immediately was like, oh, thinking about that Jennifer Lopez musical, and they just randomly start dancing in the middle of the movie.
You watched it?
No, I have not.
Oh my!
seen
Okay,
it.
because I was like, I'm waiting. I'm gonna watch it.
This is me now.
This is me now.
This is me now.
Let's see. The gamer MJ saying, I don't like how they removed the moment with Katara and her character growth when she's teaching him waterbending. Yeah, I mean, we did address that earlier. I realized that.
And it ends with them just going,
Would've been hot.
on each
Which
other.
they do.
Would have been hot, John.
Yeah.
They're children.
on a season, the topic of season 2, Decidu Guy 95 asks, for season 2, maybe they need 13 episodes to help the pace. What do you guys think about that? They do get a season 2. Do you think they'll give them more episodes?
It's hard because I'm like 13 episodes. Yeah, 1 hour each. Jesus Christ. But then I'm also like, I think you don't need to apply so many extra characters. I think the first season was including Jet, including June and Nyla, because they're
covered a lot of
these
bases
are
already.
big characters that we want you to know that we know they exist.
Also-
we're putting them in. So I'm like, you can just go slower, honestly. and do it.
I
totally-
like the siege of Fire Nation or something. In
Ba Sing Se, is it? No.
Is it
They
Boston?
fight- It is in Boston.
What
so-
is the
okay.
finale of this?
Wait.
If it's Boston, say it's
Also, June is in 1 episode.
Yeah.
Did you? I did.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, why does this character feel much more important?
She
I was like,
immediately gets
only
beat up by Appa. And
Yeah,
they're
she's
like,
just
this
in
is
1
bad, yeah.
episode.
And then
Yeah.
the other things they've brought over from season 2, like the we were talking about it before, the Badger Mole scenes with the secret tunnel and stuff, and it's like, so what are you saving for season 2 then? Because you're bringing a lot.
I think they just wanted those Easter eggs so people know that like we're
Yeah.
addressing it. We know the show.
Yeah.
You could also, I
fans.
mean, we talked about season 3 feeling a little rushed. If they move some parts from season 3 up to season 2, let season 3 breathe
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit
I
more.
love season 3.
Yeah.
Season 3.
Yeah.
The Fire Nation,
So good.
every part of the Fire Nation talks between like even Azula and her friends. I'm like, yeah, great. I love.
I love
learning
too.
these.
Bring us Toph, dude.
Right, like
I'm
they'll
so ready,
skip the,
ready for Toph.
They'll skip the, what is it, the whatchamacallit Island Players episode.
Ember Island.
Oh
players.
yeah, the Ember Island players.
All right, last
you know, some of that stuff will go.
few questions here. The gamer MJ asked, if you had to cast Appa and Momo for their speaking parts when Aang is hallucinating from no sleep, who would it be?
John Mulaney and Jack Black. No. I said it because they're
John
in
Mulaney is-
everything.
John Mulaney
I
is
was
Appa
like,
and
wait
Jack
a
Black is
second.
Momo.
When I saw the Borderlands trailer, I'm like, I love Jack Black. I was like, he's Bowser and Claptrap. I was like, come on, man. There are other actors. There are other actors.
and I'm
here.
gonna go year round. Choose the not other actors. I'm gonna put Momo as Kevin Hart.
Yeah, there you go. Should have
Momo
been
as
Kevin Hart. Yeah.
And
Jumanji cast.
The Jumanji
and then
cast,
Appa just make The Rock.
The Rock. Oh, see, this is the kind of shit they do. I'm like, why?
And
Karen Gillan,
why?
is that the other person?
We
in
have
this movie?
so many.
yes. And
Yeah,
Jack
and
Black.
Karen Gillan, Jack Black. Yep. And then Nick Jonas can be somebody too.
And,
He's hot.
Awkwafina.
You can see.
Aquafina.
Yeah, Aquafina. Oh, Aquafina's the other one. And every anime, she was in Migration. She's in Ride the Last Dragon. She's in every
Oh
anime.
yeah,
I
she
think.
is.
lot.
She's a dragon.
Yeah.
Naposa says, if Avatar does get a second season, do you think they'll have more comedic moments in the show?
Fucking
I think
Well,
they,
after the reviews, yeah, I think they will.
yeah, I think they would, right? They probably would bring back some of the comedy.
I will
there.
say the Netflix shows are usually good about doing that, changing the second season completely from the first to appease their audience.
Yes.
So they have
Or in
heard
the
these
case of The
complaints.
Witcher, Changing season 4 from season 3.
The Witcher is a different it's a different story.
Can of
They
worms.
went crazy with that one, but they were.
But it's funny because the show gets a little more serious as we go. So that if they save the funny for 2, we've missed a chance on 1, and I think they will though. I think
they'll put in comedic moments. I don't care. I want more of the Fire Nation, and I know they were heavily involved even in this season. I'm like, give it to me more.
Yeah.
Give it to me more. I want some more flashbacks of. I want some flashbacks of the dad, like not Ozai, the dad that was above.
Oh, so
Is it Zulin?
Yeah.
Ozuna. Yeah.
I want more of him. I want to see everything.
Sylvia Valka says make Danny DeVito one of the voices instead. That would be pretty fun.
That would be good. And that's also
episode.
still
That'd be
Jurassic
great. Hey, I'm Momo.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's who's it? Yeah. It's DeVito and Danny Glover. Is that the two guys?
And that'd be a funny Appa in Momo.
It's pretty good.
All right, last question. And I feel like this has got to be asked. Sarah Hatch-Dorian saying, if you could bend an element, what would you bend?
Damn,
A classic question.
I think Jess would bend jelly beans.
into my mouth. Into my mouth. If I was a vendor, you know damn well that's all I'd be doing is like lifting up a remote to my hands.
But I would be a waterbender, so all the like, oh my remote's wet. Here's my sandwich. Oh man.
I'd be a waterbender, and then I'd be like, stop peeing, boom, and stop someone.
So you know,
And then someone's like,
I blood bet.
no, it's like pee bend.
Yeah, the pee.
Back inside.
Go back in.
Is that our YouTube short? I don't know.
No. I would absolutely 100% without a doubt want to do earth bending. But if I was as clever and smart as Katara, I would be a villain and do blood bending.
I was gonna say, is blood bending on the table?
Well, no,
think so,
everything's on the table.
I don't think so
Only
because it's
some
so
people
rare.
can blood
Only
bend.
some people can.
No,
so
but
no.
we would be able to do it all. Is what I'm saying.
John
So
won't.
obviously.
You take the normal things.
Here's your
we're all
boomerang. That's what you get.
You are a
The other day was like, are boomerangs real? I was like, what? I can't remember where.
It was me.
I get the
It was
question, though.
me.
I get
We
the
were
question.
talking about this on the freaking video game when we were streaming video games. I didn't know boomerangs were real.
They are real.
Well,
They
I know
are real.
they don't work.
That's-
And then that's the thing.
They hella work.
No, they don't.
don't.
Oh man, me and my buddy, you know, they sell Nerf boomerangs that are like shaped like triangles, or you can get the one that's like a regular.
But the point
And
is, you can't whack someone with it.
Oh, no.
And it's not gonna
Okay,
come
so
back.
here-
That's the
here's
point. That's the problem.
Okay. As a resident Pacific Islander, I can talk about this because in Australia, you know, this is where they invented the boomerang. The point is if you miss your target, you catch it again.
Totally.
But if you hit the kangaroo you want to eat, then you know.
You're
it doesn't
telling me
come
right
back.
now, you throw it, it comes back.
You
Also-
throw it, it comes back, but you gotta throw it a
trying.
certain way.
Also, wait, really quick, I want to address that Evan basically was talking shit about the person that didn't know what a boomerang was, and it was me. And I'm sitting right here. He said someone came in here and acted
Was
like they
pretty
know
funny.
they're idiots, and I'm like, Evan, I'm right here. And it was just us two in
I
that
talked
conversation.
to one of the stupidest
knew
people
it
I've
was
ever met.
Just as like that was a
knew it was
private
somebody here.
conversation.
I was trying to remember.
It was just a conversation between us when we were playing a video game on the street.
Jesse was like, "Don't tell anyone this."
Secret.
Yeah, Jess
Our
was like, I
boomerang
could
is-
find it in you,
Would you
Evan.
consider boomerangs to be within the narwhal category or within the unicorn category?
Please, does anyone else throw a boomerang and catch? It's so fun. Yeah, it takes a while to
It's
learn.
not real.
But it's
All right,
oh my
buddy.
god.
Break room
I'm
tomorrow.
gonna bring
We
my.
do
I have
3
a boomerang. I'm gonna bring it.
Okay, I
We'll
have
go
one
to the-
too.
I'm gonna. Oh, then let's practice.
It's a toy. It just sits there.
If it's the real boomerang, it'll come back. But you gotta throw it like a. It's like a
Speaking of
45-degree
toys, don't
angle.
Just sit there, Blue Chew.
That's not a toy.
Oh.
All right, I think if I could bend, I would want to be a
That was a
waterbender,
question.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
but I would probably be a firebender.
I don't trust you
Similarly.
because you said you wanted the Flash's powers.
Yeah.
No.
Time travel?
I was like,
Or
the Flash
fast.
is so powerful. Why
We were
would
talking
someone
about out of
fast?
all of them. Well, we were talking about all powers. We were like flying, transporting, teleportation, everything. He's like, I just want to be fast.
What, Speed Force?
Yeah. I want to
I
be
said, Evan,
fast.
shut up. What do you want to
I was
be?
gonna say, there's just like Pottermore. There's a test for Avatar bending you can take online. I think that's like an official. I did it years and years ago. So I think I would be a waterbender because I come from the islands. But I took the test and it said I was an airbender.
I was about to say, what?
was like,
Notice how
there you
none of us said
That was
air.
my next question.
I was like,
can we even be airbenders? There's only one.
Well, I mean,
Left.
later in Korra,
We would be the ones that
more,
died.
There's more than one.
We could have been amongst the ones that died.
No, we would be powerful, so we'd kick their ass. So it's fine.
You guys are the logic here.
I'm gonna go with bloodbender.
Yeah.
But
Mostly-
bloodbender is an extra power of water, right? So you're pretty much saying you'd be a waterbender. Sure. Yeah.
I don't.
But he's only
blending.
blending bed.
London Bend.
Blending Ben.
Just around the blending bed.
Sequel to Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah. Oh, my favorite. Dude, bloodbending, I'm sorry. There's certain, I told you this, certain powers you get, you just automatically are evil. And those are the waterbenders. No, I'm joking.
Right?
I'm joking.
Or you get metal benders like Magneto.
Oh, yeah, that's
that'd
true.
be sick. So get someone to rob a bank for you. That'd be awesome.
Hey, can you rob a bank for me? Do me a
No, you
favor?
just fucking bloodbend the shit out of them and then you go rob a bank.
I see. You're like, go rob that bank.
Have fun in jail.
I think I'd mess up and
Tommy
then just
Jean
like
Valjean.
kill them by accident. And be like,
Oh, yeah.
"Oops, my bad.
What was
We
it's
can-
the
we
boys
can have
with,
Bernie's their
in
eyes.
Gen V. How what's her
Victoria
face?
Newman. Yeah.
Well, yes, but
Oh, yeah.
Maria.
Can
Oh,
like,
sorry, yeah,
stop
yeah, yeah.
blood from flowing in
Yeah.
people's
She's a
bodies.
She's a
She's a
bloodbender,
bloodbender.
yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Black people are bloodbenders as
right.
well.
That's it for us today. Jessica, I'm sorry for teasing you for not knowing what a boomerang is.
No, you're not sorry
I'm
at
going to
all.
bring my boomerang, and we're going to go play outside.
It's not okay.
Okay.
Outside Blue Chew. Thank you for sponsoring.
Hey, that's it for us today. Give us a follow on Twitch where we do these videos live.
Wasn't funny?
Anyone have anything to plug?
Go watch the MonsterVerse rewatch breakdowns that I'm doing currently. It has nothing to do with Avatar, but we're watching all of the MonsterVerse movies, and if you like King Kong and Godzilla and Kaiju's, I get really into it.
Oh, watch The Brother's Son.
Yeah, watch
watch
Brother's Son.
episode 2 in particular, because as an actor, you get residuals when it plays. So there you go. Thanks, guys.
Watch this. Boom. Yeah, check out the Deep Dive channel for a new deep dive on the Two Towers.
Hey, everybody, thanks for watching. Hopefully that's a good enough cut point. We'll see you next time.
Bye.